Hello and welcome to this video. We're going to learn about linear inequalities. But before we start, if this happens to be your first time watching this video, please take a second and subscribe to this channel and also turn on the notification bell so that you can get updated or notified whenever I upload a new video. So let's start by learning a few symbols. So these are inequality symbols, and this first one means less than. It's the symbol that stands for less than, and this one stands for less than or equal to, and then this one stands for greater than, and this last one stands for greater than or equal to. Now, these symbols are used to connect certain statements, and these statements or mathematical statements that are connected by these inequality symbols are what we call linear inequalities. And I want us to look at some examples so that we can get to understand better. Now let's have numbers 7 and 3. Now try to figure out which one of these symbols can we insert in between 7 and 3 so that this mathematical statement remains correct. Okay, let's try to insert this first one, that is less than, and let's try to read this mathematical statement. So it's 7 is less than 3. Is that true? It is not true, because 7 is not less than 3. So that is not the symbol that we're supposed to insert there. Okay, let's try to insert this other one, that is greater than. And let's try to read that statement. 7 is greater than 3. That is actually true. So that is the symbol that we're supposed to insert there. Now let's look at another example. Let's say we have 1 and 3. Which inequality symbol should we insert in between 1 and 3? It's actually less than, because 1 is less than 3. Now for us to understand this better, we're going to learn how to represent these inequalities on a number line. Now let me draw a simple number line, just a simple one. Let's have 0. Let's have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's have -1, -2, -3, -4, and -5. Now let's go to the point 3, where 3 is. Now 3 is here. So let me mark it that way. So that is the point 3. Now any number that is to the right of 3, moving this way, is greater than 3. Can you see that? 4 is greater than 3. 5 is greater than 3. The same case to 6, 7, and 8, and moving all the way towards the right. What about towards the left? Any number that is towards the left of 3 is less than 3. Can you see that? 2 is less than 3, 1 is less than 3, 0 is less than 3, and all the way moving towards the left. Now, let's say I want to represent all the numbers that are less than 3. Okay, 2 is less than 3. Okay, let me write them down here. Now 2 is less than 3, 1 is less than 3, 0 is less than 3, and there are very many. All numbers that are towards the left of 3 are less than 3. Okay, so we can just name any number as x. So x is going to stand for any number that is less than 3. Okay, any number that is less than 3. Now it could be 2, it could be 1, it could be -5, it could be -20, all those numbers that are less than 3. Now how do we represent it on a number line? So what we do is that, okay, let me have another number line very quickly. Now we are going to draw a circle at the point 3. Okay, and we call it an open circle. Now I will explain to you that when you use the symbols less than and greater than, we use an open circle. We circle that way. When we use this sign that is less than or equal to and that one greater than or equal to, we use a closed circle. We shade that way. We shade it that way. So that is a closed circle to mean that that number where the circle is drawn is also is also part of this inequality. We are going to learn about that in a moment. Now let's go back here. So we have x is less than 3. So x or 3 is not part of this inequality. It's not. Now look at this. If we had x is less than or equal to 3, this means that 3 is also part of this inequality, because it is either x is either less than 3 or equal to 3. So 3 could be part of this inequality. But for this case, we have x is only less than 3. So 3 is not part of the inequality. So that's why we use an open circle. Okay? And then what we do next is that we draw an arrow. We draw an arrow towards the left. Okay? To represent all these numbers that are towards the left, because we said all numbers that are towards the left are less than 3. Okay, so that is how we are going to represent it. Now let's try to represent y is greater than 3. Y is greater than 3. So what does that mean? That y is representing all numbers apart from 3 that are greater than 3. So 3 is not part of this inequality because there is no equal to sign. Remember, if it were this way, that is y is greater than or equal to 3, 3 would be part of the inequality. But since we only have y being greater than 3, so 3 is not part of that inequality. And so what we do is that we're going to go back to our number line. We draw a circle which is going to be open. Okay, probably I can draw another number line very quickly. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we're going to draw a circle where at point 3, and it's going to be open, and then we draw an arrow towards the right that is going to represent all numbers that are towards the right of 3. Now let's have this. Now let's say x is less than or equal to 4 and x is, let's say, is or let me use y. Let's say y is greater or equal to 5. So how do we represent these two inequalities? Now let's draw another number line very quickly. So we have 0, some negative 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Let's represent this one. That is, x is less than or equal to 4. Now we're going to the point 4, and then remember we have less than or equal to. So our circle is going to be shaded, or is going to be closed, a closed circle, because 4 is part of the inequality. That way, sorry, 4 is part of the inequality. And then we draw an arrow towards the left, that way, to represent all numbers which are to the left of 4, which are less than 4. So that's how we're going to represent it. What about this other one? Probably you can try to do it by yourself. So what we're going to do is that we shall draw okay, let me draw another small number line. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's have 7. So we have y is greater than or equal to 5. Now we're going to go to the point 5 and then draw a closed circle, because we have an equal to sign. That means 5 is part of the inequality. And then we draw an arrow towards the right. That means all numbers that are towards the right of 5 are greater than 5. And that's how we're going to represent those numbers on a number line. Now, there are some inequalities we call compound inequalities. Compound inequalities, where we have two simple inequalities that are in one inequality. For example, we can have 3 is less than or equal to x, which is less than 5. These are two inequalities, but they are in one inequality. So this is known as a compound inequality, because it consists of other small or simple inequalities. So in the next video, we're going to learn how to represent such inequalities on a number line. So catch up with me in the next video so that we learn more about that. So let's meet in the next video.